Well, the United States government has refused to pay ISIS for the release of James Foley. What does that reality mean for captured journalist Steven Sodloff? California Congressman Adam Schiff joins us right now. He serves on the House Intelligence Committee. Thank you, Congressman. I mean, it's so interesting. First of all, the way that this administration addresses these issues like they're criminal matters. These people are geopolitical enemies, ISIS. How do you go around and find the person who put the knife to the guy's throat or the individual when, in fact, they're part of a zealous, political, fanatical group? Isn't the group itself culpable? Don't we have to make war on them, not on the individual who was the instrument of that terror that day, that moment?
Well, the group is culpable, absolutely. At the same time, we do want to find those that held the knife. We want to go after them quite specifically. We may not, at the end of the day, be able to hunt down every ISIS current, former member, but we want to hunt down those that are most immediately responsible.
Why don't we kill Big Daddy?
Well, certainly if we had the opportunity, we would do that.
Okay. Let me ask you about the whole question of this sort of European versus American cultural difference here. That the French, who are very pragmatic, we know. Some would say they're cynical. But if they have somebody captured, they pay. And we don't. Explain that if you think that's justified or that's just idiosyncratic. Why don't we and why do they?
Well, it's a very hard decision, I'm sure, for the president and for other countries as well. Israel has dealt with hostage takers.
They've traded prisoners.
They've traded prisoners. At the same time, when you look at what ISIS was asking here, if the public reports are correct, they wanted $100 million for the release of these hostages. We can't be in the business of effectively funding and subsidizing ISIS.
So if they asked $20, would you have done it?
Well, we're not doing it at all, period.
But you said the magnitude was the issue, and it seems like that's reasonable.
It's not just the magnitude, but the fact is that the Europeans and others, when they pay these ransoms, are funding people who are taking others hostage and killing scores of innocent people. Yes, when you pay these ransoms, you are basically buying death. You may not be buying the death of the people ransomed, but you're buying other people's death. And that's what makes it, I think, unacceptable. Having said that, Chris, if it was a member of my family, I'd be in there saying pay the ransom, which is why we don't have members of the family making these tough calls.
Well, let's talk about the politics. I don't want to be crude about it, but it is a political question. It's a policy question as well, certainly. Ronald Reagan, in the late days of 1986, when he was doing okay politically, suffered a huge drop in public approval because he was caught sending arms to the Iranians. And he was doing it to get one of our hostages out, to get one of the CIA, it was William Buckley, the CIA station chief, because he was listening to the voice of the guy being tortured as our guy over there. And he felt for the guy. And he said, oh, well, and he went along with this plot, this scheme to get him out, sending TOW missiles over there through the Israeli agents, the salesmen. That killed him politically.
Yes, well, absolutely. And but I think here, you know, the broader point is that it just doesn't work. I mean, if you look at the Europeans who are paying ransoms, is that stopping Europeans from being kidnapped? No, it isn't. It's not stopping them from being murdered either. Yeah. So it doesn't work.
So they can always grab another guy. A missionary, a business guy, or anything.
And they will. I mean, it has what has funded a lot of terrorist organizations, and that practice is spreading, and they're mimicking others. So it doesn't work in the long run. It just breeds new hostages and new death. But it is an incredibly painful choice. At the end of the day, though, Chris, we're going to have to contain this threat because, as you say, it's not just the immediate hostage takers. It's the group itself. They're going to have to be contained. They're going to have to be defeated. And that's a long-term, tough project, particularly when we're not putting boots on the ground.
Let's talk about the attempt to free him that was made. We're getting that word. When did you get that word? And why was it put out now? I don't see any problem with it, but some people think it sort of like shows the aggressiveness of the administration in a way that is just political. Do you think they should have put out the word that they tried to rescue James Foley and the others?
I don't think they should have, unless, as they have said, their hand was forced, that basically the press was going to report it. They want to get out ahead of the story. It does serve a purpose that, you know, they do get to communicate to the country. They're making every effort, have made every effort, and that's an important thing to do.
Does the military want this out? I hear they don't.
No, I don't think they want it out, and I don't think the administration would want it out in the bigger scheme of things because it makes subsequent operations more difficult. But I do think their hand was forced, and at the same time, it does, having been forced, serve a valuable purpose and let the American people know we are doing everything we can to rescue our people.
It seems like it's what a little power does. Israel was able to do it most heroically and historically. And big countries, it seems to me, ought to take on the other side rather than, and I'm not a hawk, but when you try to do these little go in there and sneak in and sneak out. That's what little countries do. Don't we have to just take them on?
Well, look, we've done what big countries do in Afghanistan and Iraq, and it hasn't worked out that well.
Yeah.
So I think we have to be careful not to let the horror of this goad us into doing things that are not productive for us.
I understand. I feel that desire to get even, too. Thank you. Great to see you on the job in this August of Washington, D.C., when everybody else is at home. Congratulations on getting here today. Thank you, Congressman Adam Schiff of California. Thanks for joining us.